Renamed our Wi-Fi, ask her about Tuesday. The first time I saw the new network name blink onto my phone, I thought it was a joke from the kid upstairs who runs Ethernet like veins along his balcony. I was in the kitchen making 2 cups of mint tea we would forget to drink, when my phone found a network it claimed it had never seen. Ask her about Tuesday. The SSID sat there, smug among the usual suspects, our own dull home 5G, the neighbor's clever land solo, a cafe somewhere still calling itself guest. I carried the mugs to the living room. My wife, Lena, was on the rug with her laptop open, hair bundled into a knot that meant she was pretending the night wasn't already over. A candle hissed on the coffee table like it had opinions. I told her our neighborhood had developed a sense of humor. She looked up, smiled in a way that checked all the boxes from the outside, and said, "People are bored." Tuesday was 2 days ago. Tuesday, she had come home smelling like rain and basil, and a story she didn't tell. I had cooked, clattering pans louder than necessary, and she had apologized for being late without providing the noun after the adjective. "Strategy meeting," she'd said, then kissed my cheek the way you kiss an old habit you aren't ready to lose. Ask her about Tuesday. I did not. I sat beside her and watched a show where everyone was prettier than the plot. When the episode ended, she closed her laptop. "Early morning," she said, then went to brush her teeth with a concentration I reserve for bomb defusal. I turned the TV off and stared at our reflection in the black glass. We looked like two signatures on a contract we hadn't read in months. My work trains me to notice patterns even when they arrive dressed as accidents. I manage response for a logistics company that believes in everything except luck. Our pipelines depend on small truths that, if ignored, become spectacular failures. But in my house, I had been polite to luck for years. So I did what I always do when I'm terrified I'm right. I made a version of myself who might be wrong. I told him to sleep. He didn't. At 2:11 a.m., I padded to the balcony with a hoodie over my t-shirt and stared into the courtyard. Some windows glowed the way secrets do, soft, stubborn. The new Wi-Fi name had multiplied. Someone had created a twin network on the 2.4 gigahertz band, the tech equivalent of underlining twice. I scanned balconies. On the opposite side, 2 floors down, a man stood with his phone raised like a lantern. He wore a tight black t-shirt that tried to pass for restraint and failed. He looked up, saw me, and smiled with a casualness I recognized from people who win meetings by pretending they aren't happening. Then he lifted his mug and tilted it toward me in a toast that said, "Yes, I'm talking to you." I raised mine back, empty hand, pretending usefulness. He turned, disappeared inside, and a moment later a message lit my lock screen from an unknown number. "If she won't tell you, I will. Tuesday, noon. 14th floor co-working. Server room, come alone." Men like me don't go alone. We carry data the way other people carry weapons. But desire makes fools of engineers. I deleted the message, then restored it from recently deleted, ashamed at how quickly I tried to erase a thing I needed to keep. Lena murmured in her sleep inside, shifting to face the wall. I crawled back under the covers and lay there, studying the shape of her body like a map back to a country we had left without noticing our passports expiring. In the morning, we behaved. I kissed her temple, made coffee, complimented her dress. She said, "Don't be dramatic," to a joke I hadn't made. We are good at mid-level kindness. She left at 9:10, the precise minute she always leaves when she needs to be somewhere at 10 and wants to stop for a croissant she'll eat in 3 slow bites. I waited until her elevator's bell softened, then followed. When I reached the street, the man from the balcony was leaning against a scooter that looked more expensive than it wanted to be. He didn't introduce himself. He said, 14, like an address to a particularly obedient dog, then pushed off into traffic. The co-working space on the 14th floor is a greenhouse for ambition, glass boxes full of people who sell feelings as services. I used to bring clients here for the view. Now I came for the room behind the view, where no one goes except the person called when the internet forgets itself. The server room hums like a cathedral if cathedrals prayed to fans and redundant power. The man was waiting outside the frosted door with a key card he didn't belong to. He wore the kind of cologne that makes elevators remember you. "I'm Max," he said, because the kind of man he is always names himself as if he's offering you a password. "You're Kirill, and she's Lena." I said nothing, because silence is cheaper than bravado. He swiped his card and let us into the hum. Racks of servers sighed blue light. The air was cold in that expensive way that makes you aware of your skin. He walked to a corner where a desk held a laptop, and two cameras pointed toward it like suspicious birds. "I'm not recording," he said, tapping the cameras off. "You're here because you want to know. I'm here because I want to stop wanting." We stood the way men stand when one of them is about to tell the other that gravity applies to everyone. "Your wife, Lena, has been seeing me on Tuesdays," he said, then lifted a hand as if to conduct my anger into a useful shape. "Before you decide how loudly to hate me, understand that she came to me the way people come to catastrophe, slowly, while calling it curiosity." "How noble of you," I said, and my voice lacked the tremor I'd expected. It arrived dry, like a towel that didn't help. He nodded. "Not noble," he said. "Accurate. I live across from you. I listen to your fights whether I mean to or not. You are careful fighters, civil, leaning on reason until it bruises. I didn't set out to be the fireworks technician. I set out to mind my business. Then your balcony became a radio. She reads draft emails out loud. You rehearse apologies into your phone on the cold setting." He talked like a man who had practiced this confession in his hallway mirror. I looked at the cables ordering chaos into lines and thought how much I love systems that do their jobs without drama. "Why the Wi-Fi name?" I asked. "Because she wouldn't tell you," he said, "and because I'm done being interesting." He showed me his screen. Messages I didn't want to read but did. Photos I didn't want to recognize but did anyway. Lena's wrist with my watch on it. A corner of a white shirt I knew because it had a coffee stain shaped like a comma, the kind of close-up angles that are less about skin than about possession. Nothing pornographic, everything private. A clip of a voice note where she laughed with an intimacy not meant for rooms we share. The sound went through me like a wire through soft wood. "You invited me here to witness," I said. "Now what?" He turned the laptop closed with a care that felt like an apology to the machine. "Now I give you choices no one gave me," he said. "Option 1, you walk away and pretend you never came and you decide whether your marriage can survive what you won't say out loud. Option 2, you wait in this room until noon. She thinks we're meeting here. She will walk in. You can confront her. Option 3, you and I write the ending together. We tell her we both quit. We walk her to the elevator, press G, and make ordinary sunlight do the rest." "You're very good at framing," I said. "Consultant." "Photographer," he said. "For brands that sell things no one needs until they do. I'm tired." I checked my watch. 11:38. I could see the moment unspooling toward us, bright thread over dark. "Why did she choose you?" I asked, and his face did something unhandsome and true. "Because I listen," he said. "Because I didn't know her first as responsibility. Because I told her she looked like a person in the middle of her own story instead of a character in yours. Because she kept wanting to be brave and kept waiting for permission." "And why did you choose her?" I asked. He almost smiled. "Because she doesn't lie to herself about pleasure," he said. And because sometimes I hate the man in your apartment who packages love into deliverables." He said it without triumph. We listened to the servers breathe. At 11:59, I heard the elevator open outside. He heard it too. He put his hands in his pockets and looked at me like a man who knows when a game is over. Lena pushed the door and stepped into the cold. She stopped when she saw us both, and after the first startle, something complicated crossed her face. She looked, above all, relieved. "You were supposed to be alone," she said to Max. "I was," he answered. "Then I changed my mind." Her eyes went to me. I saw the exact second she decided not to be tedious. "Okay," she said. "I won't insult either of us with a story. Yes, I've been seeing him. Yes, on Tuesdays. No, I didn't plan it. Yes, I planned it." There is a way people stand when they are ready to be punished and believe they deserve it. She did not stand like that. She stood like a boxer who understands the bell is not the end of the fight but the break where you choose your next sins carefully. "Why here?" I asked. "A server room." She touched the metal rack with her fingers, as if the machine could read fingerprints and forgive. "Because here everything is honest," she said. "Because heat and noise live where the work is. Because I was tired of doing this in rooms designed for pretending." Max stepped back like a gentleman with enough shame to be useful. "I'll let you too." "No," I said. "Stay." I looked at Lena. "We can end this with him in the room, or we can begin something with him in the room. Either way, no more ghosts." I've never been dramatic, but grief made a small theater out of me. I set my phone on the desk, and also the one thing I had brought to remind myself what I was protecting. A Polaroid we took the day we signed the lease on our first apartment. We were younger there, not because of our faces, but because we hadn't yet outsourced our courage to calendars. "I want 30 days," I said. "No Tuesdays, no secret geography. 30 days where we see if we can build a home that's a room and not a museum. After that, we decide. If we stay with both eyes open. If we don't do this halfway. And Max," I looked at him, "you stop writing your name in the air outside our door. You stop being the weather of our marriage." Max nodded like a man receiving orders he is relieved to follow. Lena stepped closer. That small jasmine scent she wears, soft until you're near, climbed into my throat. She lifted her chin. "And what do you put on the table?" she asked. I thought of the way I arrange my days, the way I treat desire like electricity you measure, not lightning you stand under. "I stop arriving only with solutions," I said. "I arrive with heat. I show you what I want before the window closes. I stop winning arguments when I should be losing myself a little." She exhaled and closed the distance. In that cold room, her hands were warm when they found my face. She kissed me the way you kiss a person you are either leaving or finally meeting properly. The kiss wasn't cinematic. It was specific. It tasted like peppermint and decision. Max looked away, and I was grateful for the decency of a man who had not always found it at hand. When our mouths parted, we didn't rush to fill the space with terms. "I'll give you 30, she said, "but not as penance, as practice." Max cleared his throat. "I'll change the Wi-Fi name back," he said. "Something boring, guest." He offered a genuine, ruinous smile. "I am sorry." "Be better somewhere else," I said, and meant it without malice. He left. The door thudded softly, a punctuation mark that wasn't a period. Lena and I stood there, the servers singing their open-throated hymn. She slid her hand under my hoodie, palm flat against my stomach, and rested her forehead against mine. "Do you still want me?" she asked, not coy, not pleading. A survey question with only present tense answers. "I want you now," I said. The now did a big, beautiful thing to her mouth. We didn't do anything we couldn't have explained later. But we did hold each other in that neon cold until warmth became an argument we both accepted. When we left, we didn't take the elevator. We took the stairs like teenagers, breathless by the seventh floor and laughing at our hearts for remembering what they were for. The next 4 Tuesdays were ours. We reclaimed them with stupid rituals, dumplings at a place with bad lighting, a rule that we couldn't discuss work for the first hour, a habit of kissing in the narrow hallway by the laundry room because the fluorescent flicker made us look like strangers we'd always wanted to meet. One night, the network name changed again. Not a dare, just a statement, ask us next time. I didn't text the number, I didn't need to. Our living room had more than one language now. We used them. Do I trust her completely? I trust her specifically. There's a difference most people pretend is semantics because it's easier to sleep that way. We built something noisy and alive. Sometimes, when it rains and the courtyard turns glassy, I see Max on his balcony with a mug, and we nod the way men nod when they have both been inside a story that refused to be clean. Our Wi-Fi is called home again. It's not clever, it's accurate. On Tuesday nights, it sees both our phones come back early. We make tea we actually drink. We kiss like a punctuation mark that isn't a comma. And when the screen asks me if I want to join Ask Her About Tuesday, I smile without resentment and press, forget this network. Then watch as it disappears, not because the signal died, but because we decided not to listen.